I told Jay, like, I want to bake with the girls. And then I told him, like, how am I going to use the oven to bake? So he told me to press this hand like this. So and then wait for the oven to heat up, like for how many minutes?
Yeah, it was that bad. Like I had to show Jenny how to turn the oven on. Once she focuses on something, she just go at it. She goes to town with like doing her research, improving herself in terms of like the sugar flowers or even making character toppers. This is the thing that people sometimes don't understand in terms of like putting up a business. I think sometimes they think that, oh, it's all glitz and glamour, and what they see on Instagram is, oh, look, it's so nice, but the behind the scene is a different scenario.
Now let's talk about that cake you're about to go make, maybe even while listening to this podcast. I want to know what you're going to present it in. A basic box with extenders wrapped in cellophane? I really hope not. There really is a simpler way to go about this by using Alba tall cake boxes. They're super strong, luxurious, they assemble in a minute with no extenders, no cellophane, and no fuss. Best of all, you get peace of mind when you hand it to your customer for its journey home knowing it will arrive safely. You've just spent hours making that cake, so why not present it in something that shows it off? Check us out at www.alba.shop. We are in Dublin, Ireland, to chat with Jenny and Jay of Cupcakes and Counting. Today, it's a cute and quirky cafe that sells gorgeous treats and delicious coffee. But the journey to this point is so different. They're both trained as nurses. They left the Philippines years ago to build their careers and a better life. But all it took was one event back home that forced them to do something that would set the path for the next 10 years on a journey in baking. One thing has expanded to another, not by their choice, but more by suggestions from people along the way saying they should do this or try that. It's turned into wedding cakes, classes, a cafe, and even selling baking tools. Their cheery attitude and relaxed approach to many things has allowed them to blossom and grow their business even during the pandemic. Jenny's cakes are truly special, and her talent has now taken her around the world to teach others. But listening to their story just inspires me to think that almost anything's possible if you just put your best foot forward and try. It just never hurts to try. Right, so let's hear the story of Cupcakes and Counting. We like firsts on our podcast, and we always tend to have a first for something. And you two make up a first here because you're the first husband and wife team that we are interviewing both on the podcast. We've had husband and wife bakers in the past, but not both of them have joined. So this is the first time you both joined.
We're honored.
It's an honor to have you on. I think it's brilliant. We've been doing our research a little bit on the story of the two of you and Cupcakes and Counting. It's not like there's a lot to go off of. Obviously, Rachel has done the lion's share of the work here, but it's just really nice to get this background and perspective on you because it's not what people expect. The fact that you, Jen, were a neuro and surgical theatre nurse for 15 odd years. Jay, you also have a background. You have a career in nursing as well.
I do. I'm a psychiatric nurse, yeah.
Okay, so here we go. We've got two nursing backgrounds, nursing careers, a very established career, probably well respected based on your culture because it's in the field of medical. I mean, I can relate to that. From my parents, my dad was an orthopedic surgeon and he always just wanted me to be one, and I never turned out that way. So I know you can understand and relate how that affects your family than to leave that and do something else. But I think we need to go back a bit further because you are both from the Philippines. You're in Ireland. You're not from Ireland.
No.
And I just think it'd be really nice to understand, like, why you got to where you are. Why did you leave? And why did you feel like a career overseas was the right thing and that eventually led towards where you're going today?
Back home, most of our families, like both sides, most of them are like nurses.
Okay.
All in the medical field. When I grow up, I'll be a nurse too. And then my dad always encourages me, like, when you grow up, you need to be a nurse so that you can go abroad and work, travel, see the world. Ever since I was small, it's already like nursing.
It's in your head. It's not like there's anything food related here. I mean, did you bake? Did you cook? Did you do anything growing up around your family?
No, I have zero baking experience until 2013.
I see.
I hate baking. I hate cooking. I hate staying in the kitchen. So 2013 was the time I started baking because of our daughters. Like a mom who wants to impress your girls.
Yes.
That mommy knows how to bake, but I'm like zero.
Definitely. But Jay, was it the same story for you? Was your family always telling you a career in nursing and the medical field is really where you need to be?
I think it's a general consensus with Filipino families, in our generation, that only ticket to go abroad is either to become a nurse or to work in the IT field. But yeah, the most accessible one would be nursing. Funnily enough, though, I didn't do nursing back home in the Philippines. I did nursing here in Ireland. I have a degree. I have a management and accounting degree back home. Worked in that field, but I didn't feel that I belonged in that field. I didn't see myself working in business or accounting in the next 5 years. So I came over to Ireland first to do masters. It was meant to be a 2-year program, a degree course, but I only finished half of it. I finished the first year, the first half, and the same thing. I said, oh no, this is really not for me. And my mom, so she was working as a nurse here in Ireland at the time. So she kind of reminded me that, look, you've always wanted to do nursing and, when you were a kid. So why don't you do it here? So then I've done my research, checked Ireland, like how I can study as a nurse, and got into one of the big universities here and did my nursing, and actually loved it. So been working eventually I fell back into the nursing wagon and had been doing nursing since a few years.
Is that how you met?
No, that was before. Jenny, like between the two of us, I said, no, you do the nursing, I'll do something else. And then, eventually I followed their path. My mom, Jenny, and our cousins. So, nurses are.
It can be a family trait. I know I come from a family of teachers. And so, so my mom and dad were both teachers, aunties, uncles. There's a whole lineage of teachers in our family. And there is that, do I go be a teacher because mom and dad have been one and follow that? I was encouraged to explore elsewhere. But it's a really interesting journey. But so how did then you get into baking? I hear that there was a disaster in the Philippines. There was a typhoon, I think, that went through your home city, Tacloban.
So this was in 2013.
So at that time, I was already like baking with our girls, like cupcakes. So
okay, just for fun.
Just for fun.
Hobby.
And like cupcakes are just the basic ones, the basic pipings and all. But for us, it's beautiful. So it was like March. I think we were like baking like every weekends. So it's like practicing until there was a big typhoon back home.
And so it was towards the end of the year, November 2013, when Typhoon Haiyan hit my city, Tacloban. So thankfully, my immediate family all survived the onslaught. And because I was here, myself, Jenny and our girls, we were here. Mom and dad actually went home to the Philippines to spend Christmas there that year. And I remember I rang them the night before everything went crazy. Mom was telling me, we've started decorating now. We're hanging up the tree and Christmas lights and all that. And then she briefly mentioned that, it's a bit stormy out here, but we will be okay. She said, don't worry, because, in the Philippines, you see, every year we have the monsoon, earthquake, all of them natural disasters. So for us, we kind of lived through them, so it's not really new. When I remember Mom mentioning that they got a signal number 3 typhoon alert, and she was like, no, Sherlock, it's grand, we're used to it. So they've just brushed it off and didn't really pay too much attention. But then as the night progressed, they were getting a lot of alerts saying that, oh, this is actually not signal number 3. It's actually category 5. So then the last category 5 in Tacloban was 1901, I think, like about 100 years ago. So again, they brushed it off. They said, look, we'll be okay. Don't worry, don't panic, we'll be fine. The following day, I remember I was in the hospital, I was working, I was doing my meds, I was pushing my medication trolley. And the next thing I saw on the telly, my city, Tacloban City. So I was like, why is my city being featured in an Irish news? Usually it's like the whole country as a whole, the Philippines, but specifically my hometown. So then as I was listening, just said that sometimes the media can exaggerate. They were saying that 20,000 people perished, blah, blah, blah. The population of my city is not that big, so 20,000 is really, it's way too much. So I remember I couldn't continue working. My colleagues had to bring me to our staff room because they said, I couldn't remember everything, but they said that I was in shock. And I couldn't speak, couldn't talk. I just started crying. When that was happening, that was a Friday, I remember, because over the weekends, Jenny and I spent our days in our room crying because literally there were no communications whatsoever.
I remember my brother in the Philippines, he was trying to call them, but the phones aren't working. There is no signal.
The network were down, nothing, no communication whatsoever. So I remember saying to Jenny, I need to go home. And Jenny was like, yeah, you go home. So to become a casualty as well. Because literally...
Like no flights.
Yeah, no flights. Everything was canceled. And then Tuesday morning, I got a Facebook message from one of my sister's best friends. And she mentioned that one of their neighbors saw my family and that they're alive, blah, blah, blah. And I remember kind of demanding, I need proof, I need to see photos. And, I was hysterical at that stage. And I wasn't eating or whatever. And then the planning started, how we can help.
That must have been a really stressful 1 week. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes and think, all I'm seeing is disaster.
Yes.
I'm just on the TV and...
You can't go there.
You can't go there. You're physically trapped and you've not heard from your family and your friends. It's a very frightening experience. I bet time sat still for you for quite a long time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was the longest weekend we've had, like, hearing nothing from them. Even our cousins, like I remember giving out to my cousins who were in Manila, in the capital, and I remember telling them, why can't you reach them? What are you doing? And this kind of, I was irrational at that stage.
So I guess going through your brain, once you know your immediate family is safe, is then, well, I can't go over and help right now. So what can I do? Because there must just be this thing inside you, which is like a restlessness, which is, I need to help. I need to do something. I need to put my mind into something to help. I know my family's safe, but there's lots of people that have been devastated and the infrastructure and just, getting back basic necessities over there. Is that when you went into what's the fastest and quickest way that we can help? And that's when you started the cupcakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Jenny and I, we were like, we're both nurses. Our salaries wouldn't really well, obviously we can donate some, but reality is we still have our mortgage, everything else in here. So we said, how can we help, at least send some monetary help to my hometown? We were brainstorming and then we were like, okay, we can bake. Yeah. That's it. That's all we can do. We can bake. We'll do a bake sale. We'll try anyway. We'll try our best. We haven't, Jenny and the girls, they've been baking earlier during that year, but just the usual baking, just for fun.
The cake batter doesn't rise.
Yeah. Everything.
Baked it, but...
Yeah.
And lots of spoons licked.
Exactly.
Just fun baking, right?
Yeah.
So I told the girls, come on, let's bake some cupcakes, to help back home. So they were like, okay. That was kind of like our practice. And then the girls were happy to pie. Then I learned how to pie. not pretty cupcakes, but yeah.
Yeah. So we started baking. At the time, we didn't even know where to buy cupcake boxes because we haven't started selling cupcakes at that time. So, anyways, we found where to get them from, and I just started selling, in my hospital. And then Jenny started selling in her place of work. The girls started selling in school.
Cool, yeah.
And we were just lucky that people that surrounded us were very generous. Like, I think we were selling them for
€5 for
€5 for four cupcakes, but they were giving us like 20
like
tenner or yeah. So we managed to accumulate like a good some amount of money. And then send it straight to my family so they can distribute it to our neighbors.
Were you enjoying the cupcake making during this process, or did you feel like I just need to do something to...
No, at the time, yeah, we were enjoying. And then the girls, especially the decorating part, the sprinkles, they love it. And then they were like helping.
Yeah. Yeah.
They never left me alone. They're like, "Oh, mommy, how many here? How many cupcakes in this box?" Like, So I told them like, here 4, 6, and then they're so happy. Like, they even brought the cupcakes to their school. I'm like, "Oh, maybe not in your school because
might not allow us."
Yeah, but yeah, they brought a few, and then they came home with money. They're like, they're like,
wow.
Here you go. This is to add for the fundraising. So I was like, oh, very good. So the teachers were like, you can bring cupcakes if you like.
Eventually, we did enjoy the process. We know that by the end of all, that baking, we will be helping people. So, yeah, I think it was enjoyable for the four of us. The girls really enjoyed decorating the cupcakes. And in my head, I just wanted to at least help in some way.
It's interesting how fear or then maybe trauma can motivate you to do something. Not everyone goes through this, but you go through the stages, right? And then you get to that point where you are 100% motivated to just make something happen in any way you can.
Yeah.
But what I love about the story, even though it's a really bad story, is it changed your lives because this fundraising, activity that you did, as you stay, Jen, you stopped raising money by making cupcakes, but people realized, well, I'm just going to now order cupcakes from you because you're making them.
Yeah, it was funny because I don't know how to bake. I don't bake. I don't cook. I cook egg or spaghetti or something.
Scrambled eggs.
What about chicken adobo? That's
like some of your home favorites. Nothing.
Even if you ask the girls, daddy cooks. Like, what's for dinner? Daddy, like, not mommy. So, like, baking, it was so funny because I told Jay, I want to bake with the girls. And then I told him, like, how am I going to use the oven to bake? So he told me to press this hand like this. So, and then wait for the oven to heat up, like, for how many minutes?
I had to, yeah, it was that bad. Like, I had to show Jenny how to turn the oven on. It was that bad.
Our kitchen was so new because, like, I don't...
Well, you're a busy mom. You're a nurse, you're in and out, right?
I don't like anything like, like baking, crochet, or doing things. No, but now I'm just like, it changes. So, yeah, we baked the cupcakes first. And actually, like, I did our first cake that we did together, 2013. The batter didn't rise.
Okay.
But the cake baked. And then it was so pretty at the time. And then,
they enjoyed the process, right?
Yeah, and then I became so addicted to baking. It's because of the girls. So I'm like, for the Saturday girls, we're going to bake vanilla. Then next week, we're going to make red velvet.
Right.
So it became an addiction. So keep on baking. And I gave some cupcakes to my friends, to my colleagues from work. Yeah, until some of them are like starting to like, Jenny, can we order? And we're like, no, it's only like for charity, like, fundraising. So, but they keep on like, come on now, just give me 6 or 12. So we started to bake until my cupcakes are improving, they're rising.
So are you talking basically through 2014? You're doing this, early 2014?
Yeah, that was, Typhoon was 2013.
Yeah, so
2014 baking, yeah.
Yeah, so basically after the fundraising, January, when we've received a few inquiries from friends.
Oh, yeah.
They were just inquiring, hey, I heard you guys are, baking cupcakes. Would you be able to bake 12 cupcakes for my son's birthday or whatever, something like that? And we said, no, that was just for a charity event. And, we're not actually selling cupcakes. And a good few of them were quite insistent. So we said, okay, that's fine. 12 cupcakes, that's okay.
Yes.
We'll do it. So yeah, and it just went on and on. It was the same scenario for a good few months until myself and Jenny, like one night we said, maybe we can make a business out of this because, we're getting regular orders. They're not huge volume orders, but the orders kept coming quite regularly. So we sat down one night and we said, look, we might be able to make a business out of this, a sideline business, an extra income. Maybe, the money can go towards college for the girls or our next holiday or something like that. So
this process then, it sounds like it was sort of dictating what was happening anyway. I don't think you really had to make the decision. More and more orders keep coming. It's just going to force you to say, okay, I'm going to do this. But you still have your jobs, right? Like you're both working full time, managing your daily busy home lives, but you're taking on more and more orders. So you start with cupcakes and then you, like you're saying, you get the odd cake, celebration, birthday cake or something.
And then after that, our friends are like, Jenny, do you make cake? And I'm like, no, like only cupcakes. And then when they were like, come on now, make me a cake. So I was like, okay. So what? I go to YouTube, then I'll be like, how to bake a cake. Like, so I'm like, okay, vanilla. So I tried vanilla. Then after that, so it rised. So like 2 slices, and then I did the cake. So then somebody saw the cake.
But did you post it somewhere, or did you have any like social media or anything?
We did.
If last night Jenny was scrolling through our Instagram page, and at the very beginning you can still see our cupcakes, and I think most of the old photos or most of the old cakes that we've made are on our Facebook page because we started off on Facebook.
Yeah, because you're talking about 2014.
Yeah.
So
Facebook's massive in the Philippines too. You're probably sharing with your family.
Instagram was really early days at that point. And
yeah, exactly. We had Instagram accounts during that year, but they were just personal accounts. And we weren't even like we weren't obsessed with Instagram as we are now at the time. So most of our photos or most of the photos that we post were on Facebook.
Sure.
So how do you get to the stage then of getting to a point where actually one of us is going to have to give up our job? Or Jen, you were thinking about considering giving up your career. I mean, it's a vocation. Being a nurse is something that is a real vocational career. Was this in the back of your brain? Was this a lot of conversations going on at the time? Or did you think, oh, I might try this and I'll take a little career break and go back into nursing?
So like when I started making cupcakes and then turned into cake, then I remember I decided to make a wedding cake when I was able to make a 2-tier birthday cake. Because at that time, 2014, I was very addicted to baking. So from cupcakes, then 1-tier cake. I remember my not the first cake, but the first fondant cake. It was a teddy bear one for Victor. And then I don't know how to charge. But then I was like, I'll charge 60. And then, your worth, you're kind of like, no, 50 maybe.
Yeah, it's coming down. You're discounting yourself.
Oh my God. And then when she rang me, I'm like, 40. And then with teddy bear topper, fondant, and then free delivery. So,
yeah.
But then like at that time, I'm like, that's okay. Like,
But sometimes it's like having that opportunity just to make a cake like that you actually, as long as you get some costs for your ingredients, just to have that exposure and try doing like a 2-tier and doing a teddy bear.
I was so happy. Like when you deliver the cake and they're like so happy, their faces brights up. And then after that, I remember a friend of mine, she was like, oh, Jenny, can you make me a 2-tier cake? Then I'm like, 2 tiers? Like, I said yes. I always just say yes, and then I'll figure it out later. So I went to YouTube again.
Very scary.
Yeah, he's so scared. He was like, you don't know how to do tiered cake. I'm like, I said yes, and I'll check it. I went to YouTube again, and they're like, how to make tiered cake. So I saw like, you need a dowel, you need to put some dowels on the cake and then cover the cake. Yeah, so I did that. And then after I did the 2-tier cake, that's where I decided. I told Jay I want to make wedding cake. And at that time, I remembered he laughed at me. And I was like, yeah, I'm serious.
Because, like, literally, after making her first tiered celebration cake, she just said, "Oh, I want to make wedding cakes now." I'm like, okay, that's a really big jump. But yeah, like the thing with Jenny is that once she focuses on something, she just go at it. She goes to town with like doing her research, improving herself in terms of like, say, the sugar flowers or even making character toppers. So
And when I was working in the hospital as a nurse, so like I started making the cakes. And in my mind, it just always crossed my mind, like cake, cake, as if like somebody's telling me like you have to design this cake, that cake. Then it's always like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like looking at like cakes, and
Your
then
brain is shifting, right? Because
yeah,
you're going to the office, or well, you're going to the hospital, but you're not thinking about theatrical surgery. You're thinking about baking now.
yeah, it's kind of like I'll go home later, I'll do this. Like I'm so excited to go home and make cake. I remember like my friends in the hospital, they were like, Jenny, it's my daughter's birthday or my son's birthday. Could you make me a cake? I'm like, oh yeah. But you're working tomorrow. I said, that's okay. So what I do normally, if I have a cake order, when I go home, I'll make the cake. And then the next, when I wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock, I'm gonna ice it and then crumb coat it. When the next day again, I'm gonna cover it. Like there's a process. I am always excited to go home and make a cake.
Yeah. It's like it's really taken over your life.
Yeah, in our house, our kitchen.
I want to talk about cupcake boxes, especially if you need room for tall ones or floral cupcakes. There's never really been a cupcake box on the market that gave you the confidence to safely transport them without damaging them. Nor has there been anything that makes it easy to place or remove cupcakes without ruining those pretty decorations. Until now. The Alba cupcake box fixes all these issues. Plenty of height, strong, and a gorgeous cupcake box that opens fully into a built-in serving tray. No mess, no fuss, no cupcake teeth, and no damage. Even your customers will appreciate just how easy it is to open the box and serve right from the tray. Check them out at www.alba.shop.
I think it's a great creative outlet as well, because you're in quite an intense, serious environment, and then to have this kind of fun, creative outlet, it was probably necessary to do your job as well, actually, that you probably need someone to switch off from those environments. And
yeah, the thing that I've noticed as well, because at the time Jenny was working as a neuro nurse, and I've seen how they work in the neuro ward. I've seen their patients with tubes in their heads and everything. And I'm like, Jesus, like I'm a psychiatric nurse, and I feel that their side of nursing is more intense. So whenever she's home and doing her cakes, making sugar flowers or making character toppers, I just leave her. I said, okay, I'll let her be, because this is her outlet. This is her downtime. It's very stressful in the hospital. So at least here, she's able to, vent out, if you will.
You're doing this now for a few years out of your house. There's a point, though, where you do make that decision to do this full time. How long are we talking before you got to that point?
Our first wedding cake was 2016.
2016.
Yeah, 2016.
So the first, like a real cake job did not start until 2016, about 3 years from 2013 when, the thing happened. 2016, yeah, we've started making wedding cakes. I think that was the year when we've decided that we will focus on wedding cakes. I remember saying it to Jenny, Cupcakes and Counting will be known as a wedding cake supplier, not just cupcakes. Yeah, that was the goal. And so yeah, 2016, 2017. So I think we got featured in a few magazines here and then in abroad. And 2017 was the year when Jenny and I started talking this is becoming very serious. If you want to go full time on this one, I'm willing to help. I'll work overtime, in the hospital. And, because it will obviously be, Jenny will have to cut her hours, you see. So I need to compensate on that. So Jenny started reducing her hours first. So from 5 days, was it?
Yeah, like the first one was like 1 day first. And then I was trying to make sure that if I'm going to reduce 1 day, I should be earning that day from my cake.
Yeah, you make up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because at that time, the hospitals were becoming so busy, so stressful. And then I was thinking, I remember I told Jay, I don't want to be working as a nurse by the age of 50. I will not wait for my retirement. I just want to do something else. So I said, like, I'll do my best in doing cakes because, like, I won't last doing nursing for,
it was,
like, I think that was one of the reasons as well. And so I did 1 day. I asked permission if I could get another day of work until cake part was already taking over my nursing job. There was this time I didn't went to work because I thought I was off. Because at that time, we're so busy with wedding cakes. And then they rang me. They're like, Jenny, where are you? Then I'm like, I'm off today. They were like, no, you're not off. You're supposed to be at work. No, because my diary was like wedding cake, work, day off. So I think I just wrote something else. And then there's another time I went to work. I was checking the list of the nurses in the theaters. Then I'm like, where's my name? I'm not included in the surgery roster at the time. So my friend was like, he was in charge. He was like, apologies, Jenny. I'm going to check it now. Then he checked. He came back. He was like, why are you here? You're off today. So I'm like,
it comes a big juggle then, just from a mind perspective.
And then at work, they know that I really love making wedding cakes. So they could see my sketch at work. If I do like a scrub nurse, so I cannot do anything. But in my head, it's like creating wedding cake in my mind. So I'm like, this is not fair. Like, I need to assist a doctor. Like, it keeps on coming into my head. Like, if I'll be the circulating nurse, so I wouldn't be assisting. So I'll be just waiting for them to tell me to get something or, like, to grab some other unsterile instruments. So I'll be doing sketches, like, and this.
Oh, just like while you're waiting to be called into the theater.
Yeah. And then I have a doctor who's very good to me. He keeps on asking me, like, Jenny, you're very good with making cakes. Why are you still here? So that's one the reason I was like, Yes. I told him, like, one of these days, like, I'll do full-time wedding cakes. So
2017 when Jenny reduced her hours in the hospital. So started off reducing 1 day and then increased to 2 days and 3 days. And then come August 2018, Jenny went on a career break. So it was August 2018 when Jenny kind of officially went full-time with the wedding cakes.
Yeah. So it's a slow progression, I mean, to giving up your nursing career, because it can be a really difficult decision.
Yeah.
And it was good that you're in that industry and in nursing where you had that flexibility to drop days.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you have to, completely think overnight, I'm going to go into it and it's dark and you have to, it's a big transition. But what it sounds like with you is that it's a very gradual transition and you were building the business up simultaneously. So you had this wonderful scenario that when you actually did leave nursing, that you had this thriving business that then you could dedicate your time towards. But were you still at home at this point? You hadn't expanded into a shop?
Yeah, at home at that time. And then our house is becoming like...
taken over with wedding cakes, right?
Yeah.
The kitchen. I remember the kitchen, so all of the cake stuff. And then we're acquiring the living room until we're telling the girls, like, can we use your room?
I remember that year, 2018, when I think it was one of our busiest with wedding cakes. See the way, like, you need your supplies and everything. They were literally on the hallway. Took over. We used to have a walk-in closet. You can't walk in anymore. Like tons of boxes and everything else. And I think it was at that time when we said, I think we need the business is literally outgrowing the house. So
yeah, I remember the hallway. There are like boxes, and then we have dummy cakes in the hallway as well. We used to like display cakes in like wedding fair, so we have like loads of boxes. And you remember, even our room, we have 3 wedding cakes inside.
Yeah.
No space anymore.
That is insane,
It was crazy because
Yeah.
again, like we had nowhere else to keep them.
Yeah, then I told Jay, like, can we just go around and look for a space?
Yeah.
Like, then ask, like, how much is the rent, or
if we can actually afford it. If not, then we stay at home. We had like a little kind of studio at home that we've built. It's like a little corner in our house. But again, everything else was just taking over: boxes, ingredients, everything. Because we have, like, if you're a home baker, you have to separate the domestic and your commercial ingredients, totally separate. So we had
like
2 fridges, a second freezer, or something like that. We had the HSE, we call it here, HSE, and the inspector.
The hygiene, right?
To check, and this is what they've recommended, and they were actually like visiting us quite regularly, so we have to comply and everything. So that time we said, look, I think the business needs its own house.
Yeah, its own space.
Yeah.
Then I think if you're working at home, like for me, I don't take break. Like if you work at home until like early morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I'm still there. Like I don't want to go to sleep until I'm not yet done, or I'm done already, but I just keep on doing something. Like Jay will wake up and he'll be like, it's already like 4.
Yeah.
Why are you still up?
Oh yeah, I remember that time when I said, oh, this is not right. There's no limit to with Jenny would make, especially her sugar flowers. She just continues to make sugar flowers day in, day out. Yeah, I think that was, for myself anyway, that was one of the prime motivators to actually get a place for the business. So this was 2018.
Was it July 2019 that you opened a shop?
When we found the shop, yes.
This is the cafe as well? Or
Not
was it
yet.
just... Okay, right.
That was purely the wedding cake. So our
Studio,
shop,
yeah.
our studio. So it was like by appointment only.
Okay.
So it's like it's for the wedding cake.
So it was a place where we meet up with our clients. It was a collection point for celebration cakes as well, but mostly for Jenny to make her wedding cakes, to make her mess and
to make
everything
my mess.
else. So the first place was, it was literally a studio, generally for wedding cakes.
And we hear time and time again that it really helps to have that separate space when it comes to wedding cakes, because you have a lot of consultations and people are making their first impression based on where you're making the cake. So I can imagine it's quite stressful if you're having people always coming into your home and thinking, gosh, everywhere has to be constantly immaculate.
Yeah, I got so stressed whenever we'd have consultation at home, because I'm like, Jesus, like the girls, I told them that we were having consultations. They need to clear the rooms, the blah, blah, blah. The hallway needs to be cleared.
Everything needs to be immaculate, right? Because people are making their decision based on that. So actually going into a studio must have been quite a relief in some ways, because just to have that place where you don't have to worry about like sugar flowers being knocked over accidentally because someone's cooking or someone put a bag down. I mean, these are very intricate, delicate, time-consuming flowers, right? So I just imagine it would have been a real relief for everyone going into the shop.
Yeah.
You're making all these progressions. You're going into full-time work doing the cakes and doing the wedding cakes, and you find a unit. You guys are entrepreneurs at this point, effectively. You're your own business owners. You're entrepreneurs. But in terms of your family history and life, Jenny, for you, it's all nursing. Was there any entrepreneurs in your family or people you knew, or did you have friends that ran their own businesses like you could rely on for help or something?
Yeah, my brother is a businessman. Yeah. He's a very good businessman. And then before that, my mom, my dad, we used to have a stall, like a shop
in the market.
Okay.
So we have that. We have a farm. We have some, like, what do we have? Like mangoes, vegetables. So we have a stall in the market.
So you've been around it growing up.
Yeah, that's what my mom told me
that.
When she was like, you know how to bake? Then I was like, yeah. Then she was like, you don't. I said, now I know how to bake. And she was like, she even told Jane, Jenny doesn't like baking. She doesn't like cooking. She just wants to eat. Like, even my friends, they were like, no, is that your shop? I said, yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, at the time,
Amazing.
when Jenny, in their hometown, they had a stall in the wet market. They were selling fresh produce and all that. So I think that was her kind of background in terms of doing business.
Is that when you were getting involved with the business then, Jay, more and more when you opened up the unit in 2019? Will you get involved more with the admin side of it? So the finances and...
Yeah, exactly. Like I took on that role from 2018 when Jenny took her career break. It was becoming too much for her doing the admin side of the business and then doing the wedding cakes. Not only like doing making the sugar flowers, but also baking, everything else. So 2018 when I fully helped in the business, doing the admin and all that.
And delivery driver, perhaps.
And yes.
Delivery driver,
customer service.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Coffee, tea maker.
Yeah.
What's interesting is you guys have gone above and beyond in a few different ways, because it's not like you've just decided to do a wedding cake business. You guys now run a cafe, 2 of them, right? And you've got the wedding cake business. You do classes as well. You've got so many different forks to your business, which all obviously didn't all come at once. But it seems like, though, if you got the unit in 2019, that's only 4 years ago. So it's like you're averaging 1 new fork a year in your business, right? Like something new happens every year. What was the order here? Which came after the wedding shop? Was it the cafe? Was it the classes?
It was the shop first, 2019. July 2019, we opened the shop purely to accommodate, Jenny's wedding cakes and everything else, consultations and all that.
Free up your house a little bit too.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have our house back.
Yeah, that was it. So July 2019, and then 6 months later, we had the pandemic. So so that was we're after investing so much on the shop, and then this happened. So it was
initially it was pandemic, so it wasn't sinking in that it's pandemic, no wedding cakes. So I go to the shop, Jay goes to work, I'll go to the shop, I'll just clean. Then I'm like, so
we were in denial in the beginning because we thought that, pandemic. What is a pandemic? Like we had to literally Google it. Just like at the time we were like, maybe this will be over by wedding season, by April or May. Maybe we'll be back to normal at that stage. So, but it didn't, obviously. So we had to pivot the business during the pandemic. The pandemic gave way to like a new branch of our business. Like there's the online classes. And then Jenny found the time to redevelop and develop her merchandise. We're selling our own merchandise now as well. And then what else? So during the pandemic as well, obviously we went back to our roots, to making cupcakes.
There's no weddings, so like no occasion cake,
nothing.
Cakes,
like people can't celebrate. No weddings, can't celebrate big parties or whatever. So when we went back, we decided to go back to our roots, making cupcakes. So then at the time, when people were allowed to go out again and collect cupcakes within their limit, we had a 5K limit, 10K limit, 20K limit. Whenever they're collecting their cupcakes, they'd come to the studio and ask, "Oh, do you guys sell coffee as well?" We said, "Oh no, they're just cupcakes." And would be nice if you have coffee.
Yeah. And then, and then the locals, who we are friends now, when they pass by, they'll wave at me. Then I'll be waving back. So sometimes they knock, then they'll be asking, "I hope to have coffee or tea someday because you have your small treats now."
Yeah.
Then we were starting to sell like pastries. So they were like, hopefully like soon, you'll have coffee.
A lot of people have been mentioning, you guys, you need to sell coffee. You're selling cupcakes, you're selling
pastries,
treats, but no coffee. They come together, whatever. So we were like, so then 2021, we were like, maybe
and then at that time
a coffee shop next.
Yeah, so we were like talking, and I told you we'll try to open like the coffee. If it will work, that's good. If not, so we'll just go back to selling our treats. And then we need to pay our rent. This is the thing, like we need to pay our rent. So we need an income. And then at that time, I told Jay, I really don't want to go back to nursing because the hospital around, they're very good. They're like, Jenny, do you want to come back to work? Because it's pandemic, you know? Then in my head, I'm like, I want to just stay here. So I told Jay, like, we'll do online classes. I'm not really good with like teaching online because I love to teach actual class or in-person class. I'm like, okay, I need to do the online class.
Yeah, so 2020 and 2021, when we really had to think of ways on how to generate income, you know, we were lucky at the time. Our landlord in the old shop was very lenient with us. Like, he knows that we're not selling anything, not anything substantial. So he helped us with, you know, with the rent, and that kind of kept us going. Because had he not been accommodating, we would have closed the shop. We wouldn't have been able to afford the shop at the time. So yeah, we had to pivot. We started doing online classes. And then again, as I said, we went back to making cupcakes. We pushed and, you know, advertised heavily on our merchandise. So yeah, I think that was a new branch of the business that was eventually formed from the pandemic.
Amazing. And at that point, Jay, are you in full time?
No,
Have you reduced down your hours? Have you?
I haven't actually, Rachel. It was I don't know. I don't know how I managed to juggle the two, because at that time, I was kind of realizing it already that I'm actually juggling two full-time jobs. Because like on one hand, I had my nursing job, and then on the other, I have the cake business. But it's not only like I'm not just delivering cakes. I'm doing the admin. I'm doing the social media, advertising, everything else. So yeah, when I was still working full time as a nurse during those years, it was only last year when I took a career break. I'm on a career break now.
He still got 3 months. 3 months left.
Yeah, I have 3 months. Yeah, I have 3 months.
Is that because of the worry of the pandemic and the worry that this business can change all overnight, that you're worried about putting all your eggs into one basket, even though you've got multiple revenue streams? So you are doing the online classes, in-person classes, the wedding cakes, you've got the cafe, you've got the cupcakes, you've got the celebration cakes. There's so many avenues for income, not forgetting your merchandise, coming through. But is there a worry in the back of your brain always that say, I need to make sure that there's some kind of solid income, reliable income maybe?
You're exactly right. I think at the time when I was in college doing business and accounting, you need to have a safety net. So I think that was one of the reasons why it took me a while to fully let go of my day job, just to make sure that we will be okay.
Yeah.
and, and that the business can actually sustain both myself and Jenny's salaries when we were, still nurses. It was only last year when I realized that, okay, the business can actually pay me as well. So yeah, why not? Like we are creating employment. We're giving opportunities for people to work in a job that they wanted to do. And why not me? Like, why not do it to myself as well? Like, I really wanted to work here. So why can't I work in a place where, I want to be in?
How many people do you employ now?
5 regulars, and then we have part-timers. I think all in total, there's 10 of them.
How has that been, though? Like the hiring process and finding people?
It's so hard.
This is the thing that people sometimes don't understand in terms of like putting up a business. I think sometimes they think that, it's all glitz and glamour, and what they see on Instagram is, look, it's so nice. But the behind the scene is a different scenario. Like, for example, hiring staff. I actually don't like doing interviews because, sometimes I get stuck and I don't know what to ask them.
It's hard to find that right mix where you want them and they really want to work for you? Or is there too many people to choose from? Or is there not enough people to choose from?
Enough people to choose from.
Not enough people.
Yeah. It's trying to find the right people with the right drive, who shares the same passion, who shares the same wavelength as you are. For example, in the cafe, Jenny handles obviously the baking, decorating side of the business, and I'll be on the coffee side of the business, trying to find the right barista. Yeah, it is really difficult. And same goes with Jenny, trying to find the right baker who shares the same love for cake decorating or even just the baking side of it is really difficult.
I guess you also have to, there's a balance between bringing someone on that is ambitious and wants to learn under you and having the knowledge that once you've skilled them up in 2 years, they'll be off making their own business.
Yeah.
Between balancing that, trying to find someone who's quite steady and reliable and that will, might not come up with all their creative designs or have that massive spark of enthusiasm, but they'll be reliable. They'll be the ones that are there making the cake. So you've got to have like that balance of staff as well, that, some might be really good interacting with people, some maybe not, right?
No, that's true. Yeah, we've had, especially in the coffee side of the cafe, it is quite tricky trying to find somebody who can make or who has knowledge on specialty coffee and is able to talk to customers confidently. Because some people are quite shy, they're just happy making coffee behind the machine, but is not really willing to talk to the customers. And yeah, we don't want that. It's like here in our cafe, we always maintain this friendly environment, very, light and happy environment where people can just come in and chat away and, talk to us if they want to. So yeah, it is tricky trying to find the right people.
And Haf, we should really talk about the aesthetics of the cafe because
it's beautiful.
I think literally that's how I found you guys as well. It was just, honestly, there must have been quite a bit of a thought process went into creating something. It's very pretty. It's pink. It's got beautiful florals. You even have a pink coffee machine, pink coffee cups, pink Alba boxes. No, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of thought that's gone into that feeling that you want someone to have when they come into your shop. It's from the exterior. You almost know it's got that lovely feel to it that, it's very inviting. It's very welcoming. It stands out on the high street. It's very attractive.
Yeah.
And you know that you're going to go in and there's also beautiful treats that are inside there. So it invokes an emotion, and having that great customer service, the people are then going to go, I want to go back into there because it always gives me this special feeling. Was there a lot of thought process that was put into the design of the cafe? And were you inspired by any other cafes when you started it?
Oh yeah, like I love Peggy Portion. Oh, every time we go to London, first stop Peggy.
Victoria Station,
like Peggy, like the pink, pink makes everyone happy, and then it's very inviting. So we like that. And then like the flowers, we love the flowers, but our flowers here are more of like branch because I love branches. I love like twigs. So we added in our coffee shop. So I don't want it to be like all floral. It has to be like with the flow.
Basically, like the design of the interior came from Jenny's cake designs as well. The flowers that Jenny is talking about are like, yeah, it is floral, but there's, tons of twigs and branches and, just to incorporate the designs that we do on our wedding cakes.
You like the branches and the twigs because I see you sell those as accessories on your store as well as part of decorative elements.
And the tree inside here, it's a real birch tree.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's like a birch tree and then mixture of artificial and real twigs. So a friend of ours, Fee, was the one who made those.
You started baking with your girls, now 10 years ago almost. Right.
Yeah.
So they've watched this entire change in your life, right, over the last 10 years. What kind of impact has it had on them, do you think? Do they want to come work in the shops at some point? Do they help already? How has it been for them through all this? Because you've obviously still had to raise them through all this.
Yeah, and then they're very creative. Every time I make cakes, they'll pass by. This is at home. They're like, ooh. So I'm like, thank you. They're like, this is beautiful, mommy. But if they pass by without a word, you have to like, why, what's wrong? I think we need to add this and add those things here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow. I'll be like, okay, I'll put this here, put that. They're like, oh, that's perfect. Yeah. And they're very good. They have this eye as well.
For attention, yeah.
So and then in the shop, in the old shop, every time I need them, like especially wedding season, like girls, I need you to help me to make like sugar leaves. So they help, like the two of them.
That's really good.
I'm sure it's been really inspiring watching parents, and maybe this is probably for them later down the line, to look back and reflect on your journey and look at what you've done and what you've achieved and what you will go on to achieve in the future. Because I have no doubt that you're not going to sit still. I think that this will keep growing. It will keep organically growing. And, you know, I'm sure your daughters will look back and go with immense pride of something that came out of helping others. That initial journey of like, let's raise money, let's sell cakes, as they'll turn into this really thriving business where you're employing people, you're making so many people's special days really special with your cakes and coffee, and you're just the two of you, that caring personality that you give out as well. So
it's really nice. It's really cool.
It's a really cool story.
It's a great story. And also it's our first story from Ireland too. We haven't had anyone from...
And also the Philippines, right?
And the Philippines, yeah. I guess you could say that. You'll probably always have that one for a while. But listen, I really appreciate the story. What we like to do the end of our chats is we do like to have a little quick fire question round. Just the first thing that comes to mind, baking related questions, Jenny. So I'll go first. What's your preference? American buttercream, Swiss meringue buttercream, or ganache or fondant?
Swiss meringue buttercream. And that's what we use for the cake. And then we ganache our cakes, especially for wedding cakes, and then fondant.
And okay, wow. You use all kinds. That's right. That's brilliant.
So one aspect of baking you won't compromise on?
Quality ingredients. Make sure like the external and internal are both delicious. Looks beautiful from the outside and yummy in the inside.
Tastes good too. Absolutely. Do you have a baking book from your bookshelf to share?
I have Jen Race.
Ah, okay.
Which is very good. Like
Jen and Ashley, yeah.
Yeah, Jen and Ashley. Like sometimes we chat, no?
Yeah.
We had them on the podcast, by the way. In our last season, they were on our podcast. You should go listen.
Yeah, definitely.
The great book. Beautiful book, though. Yeah. Rach uses several recipes from it.
They're very nice. Yeah, like sometimes we chat about like the stuff they have in their kitchen that are in our kitchen.
Yeah, but you need that, don't you, really? Because as you grow, you also need to make sure, do we have the right kind of facilities? Because there's no guidebook when you grow out of your home kitchen to going into a commercial kitchen of...
No, that's it.
What do you need? And it's almost the cake community really needs to help each other here to help.
Yeah, I think we honestly feel very lucky because the cake community, not only here in Ireland, but all over the world, very helpful in terms of like literally just helping you with anything. I remember Jenny talking to, I think it was the Jenna you were talking to about the business. And yeah, they're just happy to like extend a helping hand one way or the other. And then friends in Australia as well. They've been helpful in terms of like the information that they give us, you know, from being a home baker to having their own studio or cafe. So yeah, we feel very fortunate.
Like the cake community is very supportive, you know, like of each other. Here, I can chat with Lima, like Sona. She's in Canada. I can chat with Enrique, who's in the UK, or, you know, like, the cake community there are a lot of cake makers or cake artists, but then we are like friendly with each other.
Yes.
That's what I love. Like, even here in Dublin, like, I have cake friends.
All right, last question. Who would you want to make your next birthday cake? And you can... Obviously, Jay, I know you're going to be saying Jen.
You to make me a birthday cake.
We'll ask Jen who she would love. Anyone in the cake community?
Oh, I would love Sona to make me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, she's Lima cakes.
Oh, yeah, she does absolutely incredible cakes. Thank you so much, guys. Can you please give, I know we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but can you please give George the cat a little stroke from me?
Oh my God. Oh, Georgie. Oh, I love that. We became friends like
during the pandemic.
Yeah, I let Georgie in like the shop because it's just the two of us. So we became friends.
So for the listeners out there, you may have to go and jump on their social media.
Yeah.
There'll be a link in the show notes and you can
now,
see George the cat make several appearances throughout.
We need more, please. More George shots.
Yes.
Yeah. That's our routine when we come to the shop, like in the morning, like breakfast time.
Oh, food is here.
Everywhere.
He's so kind. He's so kind.
That's brilliant. Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps up episode 23 of My Baking Journey. If you are in Dublin and you want to go check out Cupcakes and Counting for yourself, lucky you, first of all. Second of all, check out the show notes because you'll find everything about them in there. Thanks so much for listening this week. We're back next week. So please do tune in. And don't forget, this podcast is brought to you by Olba, packaging for bakers designed by a baker. Check us out at www.olba.shop. Thanks so much. Take care.